Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Color Purple, starring Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, Adolph Caesar, Margaret Avery, Ray Don Chong, and Oprah Winfrey, and directed by Steven Spielberg, like all the movies. Now, before I get into this review, why am I doing a Spielberg dramatic work series? Well, with this upcoming movie, The Post, which I did see one trailer for yesterday, and it actually looks pretty good, to be honest with you. And what could you go wrong with Spielberg for? I don't know, and I just want to get to his dramatic work before I get to any of his other stuff, like Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park or any of those other ones. But I'm starting with The Color Purple all the way to this new movie of The Post. And it's mostly his dramatic work. And let's get into this, shall we? We open with Nettie and Celie starting the movie up in the year 1909, playing with, and suddenly Nettie, who's a 14-year-old girl, or should I say Celie, excuse me, has a baby been taken by their father, and it's always a sad moment when the father takes away your baby. But I'll give it this. It was the late 1900s, but still, very sad. But yet very true. Celie is taken away from Nettie, or what's her name? Nettie, excuse me, I meant Nettie. By a Mr. Johnson, played by Danny Glover, just to marry her so she can get beat up by Mr. Johnson and treats her like a slave, which was very sad, but again, that's how it worked back in the day. But I love the way Spielberg shoots those scenes, like they were back in the day. The thing I love about Spielberg is the way he tells composers to play the music, because he's got a spiritual soul in his music, and the way it sounds is just beautiful. Just beautiful music to my ears, and it's got a very good heart. Celie and Nettie reunite with Celie being married to Mr. Johnson when originally he wanted to marry Nettie. But he ends up with Celie, who he treats horribly. And I like Danny Glover in this movie despite how much I don't like his choices. Nettie teaches Celie to read every word on flashcards, and Oliver Twist is a very nice way to let people read, and it's a good way for Spielberg to show a good POV, meaning point of view, in case anybody didn't know what I was talking about. Mr. Johnson hits on Nettie while she goes to school, and she attacks him, and suddenly he throws her out just like that. It was the 1900s, but that was a very sad sequence. But Spielberg films dramatic scenes very well. We fast forward to 1916. Celie is all grown up and Mr. Johnson still treats her worse than ever. But at the same time, she catches up very quickly and is a much better as an adult than a 14-year-old. And this adult version is played by Whoopi Goldberg. Mr. Johnson's son, Hopo, getting married to Sophia, played by Oprah Winfrey, is a good character to fight back against Mr. Johnson, and her performance is so good that she got an Oscar nomination, but I'm afraid didn't win that year, but still a very good performance. Shud Avery, played by Margaret Avery, appears in The Rain with us finding out Mr. Johnson's name is Albert. And it was a convincing reveal for the audience to find out his name is Albert. I love the way Albert burned himself cooking for Shud Avery. It was just classic, and the way she just throws the food at him was just hilarious to me. Hopo dances with his ex-wife, and his girlfriend comes in, and Sophia gets first smacked in the face, but Sophia punches his girlfriend. Was actually a good fight with some good shots, like Hopo's girlfriend saying, "What about me?" was a funny moment in the film. The acting here is absolutely phenomenal for a movie set in the 1900s to 1930s. Shud Avery tells Celie to stand up for herself, and people will tell her that, and luckily she'll do that at the end was a good message to stand up against anyone picking on you, and it's true even in real life. Sophia got asked to be a slave by us, I don't know who it's by, but oh, Millie. Her name is Millie. That's right. And Sophia says hell no, and her husband smacks Sophia for that. And after going to jail, she had no choice but to take it. Was a sad move of Sophia, but Sophia fights for her life, and I felt bad for her, to be honest with you. It turns out Nettie sent a letter to Seeley in 1936, 26 years later, and Mr. Johnson's been hiding them for all those times, like all the amount of years. Finally sees one, and it turns out Albert has been keeping letters from Seeley for all those years. It's a selfish move, and I like that scene, the way it was shot. And the way Whoopi Goldberg acted in that scene, as well as everybody else's, was absolutely amazing. Seeley cusses out Albert, and she leaves his hellhole of a house for good. And I love that moment in the film. It was a great acting for Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, and Oprah Winfrey. I give Spielberg credit for all the great acting he does for the characters. The church music kicks in while they're having a carnival of some kind next to the church, and suddenly everyone is singing like we're in a musical. And that was a powerful way to say the sisters have souls too. When Seeley gets reunited with Nettie and Seeley's own children, I felt was a very powerful moment and such a beautiful way to end the film. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.7 out of 10. This movie is powerful and has great acting all over it, and the characters are so unforgettable. It has a very good heart and a very good spirit to it. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with Empire of the Sun. And until next time, I don't know.